Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone's doing okay and everyone is doing well. So in today's video, we are actually going to be starting a new segment on my channel titled Woman Wednesdays. Now, I do know that there are many amazing women in this world in different industries and different fields doing amazing things, but I really wanted to start off with the basis of amazing women, and that is women in the Bible. Now, I feel like growing up here, we were taught all types of very interesting stories in the Bible, and in all honesty, the Bible is almost like an EastEnders in a book because the Bible is juicy, okay? The Bible real juicy. But even with that being said, I do feel like a lot of the time when we do speak about women or people in the Bible in general, we're speaking about men in the Bible, we're speaking about Paul, we're speaking about Jacob, we're speaking about Abraham, we're speaking about all these different people, and I really want us to just highlight women in the Bible, their stories in the Bible, and what we can also learn from them as part of their journey of faith. And I figured this will be like the best way to do it. Plus, like I said, the Bible is interesting, girl. You gotta get the juice out of the stories, okay? So in today's video, we are actually going to be exploring the life of Sarah, not just because, you know, that's my name or whatever, but after reading the story of Abraham and Sarah, there were key factors that I noticed about Sarah, key qualities that I noticed, and also key things that I think we can take from the story of Sarah and also apply that to our lives today. So yeah, we're going to be starting off with the life of Sarah. So as I usually and I always say, get cozy, comfortable, hot Ribena snacks, all of that jazz and above, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So the story of Abraham and Sarah is a very well-known story, but if you have not yet read it, click the description box, okay? Get the scriptures, go on Google, get yourself a Bible and read the story, because you don't want the commentary before reading the text, you know what I mean? But it is a very interesting story. Just pause the video and come back, because I ain't going anywhere, okay? Until you click play, I ain't going nowhere. But for many of us who have actually read the story of Abraham and Sarah, we'll just quickly summarize it. Abraham and Sarah were basically waiting on a child in their very old age. Sarah was 90 when she gave birth to Isaac. I mean, sis was 90 when she gave birth, girl. So it's a very interesting story, and it's juicy. There's a couple nuggets in there as well. Like, we're digging in, okay? We're digging in. All right, so the first lesson that I actually did learn from the life of Sarah is that sometimes you need to give things up in order to receive something greater. Now, Sarah and Abraham basically lived in a city, and God spoke to Abraham and was just like, okay, get your bags, get your wife, get some of your things, you guys have to go. Now, imagine your husband coming to you in the middle of the night telling you to leave your family, leave your friends, leave your job, leave everything that you've worked hard for. God showed me a vision, let's go. You're gonna actually ask, where are we going? Come and tell me where we are going, because I'm not going anywhere. You would actually call him mad. But the beauty in that story itself and in Sarah is that Sarah actually was willing, and she let go of everything that she had in that city, and she ended up following her husband, understanding God's purpose for her husband and also for her life. And I think that is the beauty of understanding that sometimes you need to actually let go of things to receive something greater. It could be a job, it could be a relationship, it can be friendships. But whenever you let go of those things, especially when it is a God-ordained thing, something greater will come as a result of it. And the beauty in that story as well was understanding that Sarah was able to reap the rewards of her leaving those things and going with her husband to fulfill his purpose in both of their lives, and was able to reap the rewards later on in her life. So that is lesson number one, is that sometimes you need to let go of things in order for you to receive something greater. Lesson number two that we can take from the story of Abraham and Sarah is that Sarah was beautiful. So all Sarahs are beautiful, because the Bible don't lie, okay? The Bible does not lie. Okay, no, that's not the actual lesson that we're taking from it, even though the Bible does say that Sarah is beautiful and the Bible don't lie, so just putting it out there. Anyway, the real lesson that we're actually going to take from the story is that you should never ever let go of people that God has placed in your life. Just before Abraham and Sarah did get to Egypt, Abraham was basically like, listen, Sarah, you're my wife, you're beautiful, they're going to take you and they're going to kill me. So for the sake of us staying alive and for the sake of us being together, let's just say that we're half siblings. So they ended up getting to Egypt, and indeed Sarah was so beautiful that they actually did take her to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh actually wanted Sarah to be his wife, and as a result they didn't actually kill Abraham because they were apparently half siblings. This is what I mean by the Bible is juicy, okay? The Bible is juicy, okay? Sarah actually remained faithful even when she was in the palace. Pharaoh wanted Sarah to be his wife, but in return she just didn't go for it. Imagine someone, basically, you and your husband are just wandering, yeah, because he wants to leave the land and everything, because God has showed him a vision. And you end up getting to a palace, someone is offering to, basically asking you to be his queen, offer you everything and anything, riches, gold, food, camels, everything and above. And you decline that and remain faithful to your husband. And although it probably would have been so much easier for her to ditch him and become a queen and have all these riches and everything, she decided to stick by his side because she understood that God had placed him in her life. And I I think that is a lesson that we can apply to our lives as well. Sometimes it is the easy way out to just leave people that God has placed in our life for other things that look more appealing, but understanding that not all that glitters is gold, and there is rewards, great rewards for staying faithful and for you appreciating and staying with the people that God has placed in your life. And Sarah's life proves that. That leads me on to my next point, that Sarah was submissive and obedient to her husband and had a whole lot of faith. Sarah's faith is first tested when she has to leave her homeland with her husband to somewhere that she, like I said, they did not know where they were going, but they were trusting God. That was when her faith was first ever tested. And as time was going on, as things were happening, Sarah was now understanding new truths because her mind was being opened up to so much more. And I think that is the beauty in understanding how we can apply that to our lives. Understanding that faith is not just about believing sometimes, but faith is also about doing. She not only believed God's promises to them, but she also moved forward with the faith that God had given her and grew that faith in the process. Submitting to your husband doesn't mean, my king, you are home. My emperor, what would you like to eat today? Lord, is your pillow plucked enough, or shall I change the duvet for you? That's not what submitting to your husband means, okay? Sarah didn't know that her obedience and her submissiveness will actually make her the ancestor to Jesus Christ, but she was faithful in doing all of those things, and as a result, God rewarded her in the years to come. So that brings me on to my fourth point, which is that it is actually okay for us to doubt sometimes. Now, we are basically told in the scripture that Sarah doubted God so much that even when God said she was going to have a child, Sarah laughed. She didn't throw a tantrum, she didn't cry, she didn't have an angry moment. She literally just laughed because her doubt was honestly that low. And I think that's a life lesson that I really like in the story, that it is sometimes okay to doubt, but it is not about focusing on the doubt that matters, but focus on how we channel that doubt. We are later on told in Hebrews 11:11 that Sarah was able to conceive even though she was barren because of the faith that she had, which means that from the level of doubt that she had, she was able to actually receive greater faith in order for her to conceive and in order for her to give birth. And I think that is the beauty of it, of understanding that it is sometimes okay to doubt. It's sometimes okay to think that, you know, this isn't going to happen or that's going to happen, but it's not okay to stay in that pit. It's not okay to stay in that place. And it's important that you build up your faith as a result of it in order for that manifestation to come into play. And that's exactly what happened in Sarah's case, where she doubted and she laughed. She actually laughed. She laughed that God's promises will not come to pass, but her faith was built as a process from it, and as a result she was able to conceive her own son, who she ended up calling Isaac. So I think that is actually lesson number 4 that I really love from the life of Sarah. I comfort. You know, you always like call when I record. So the 5th life lesson that we can actually take from the life of Sarah is that our way is not always God's way, and also that God does not judge us from a place of weakness. So as we know, God already promised Abraham and Sarah a child, like point blank period, but he didn't say what age Sarah was going to conceive. That promise was actually made when Sarah was 65 and she ended up giving birth to Isaac when she was 90. So that was a whole 25-year wait, and I understand she must have just been like, God, where is this child? A whole 25 years later is when she gave birth. And understanding as well, during that time they probably felt humiliated by people that were around them. They were old, they didn't have a child, they didn't have anyone who will be an heir to Abraham's possessions. So as a result, Sarah grew very impatient. This is where the story gets juicy. Sarah grew very impatient, and she was just basically like to Abraham, you know what, why don't you take my maid Hagar and have a child with her? She's young, she's fit, she's this and she's that. You can basically conceive with her. And as a result, Hagar ended up conceiving Ishmael, which was Abraham's son. We can actually learn 2 lessons from that part of the story alone. Number 1 is that whenever God does things, he does things on his own accord, and he does things at his own timing and not on our timing. And because of that testing period, they didn't actually understand that what God said he was going to do, he was going to fulfill it, not on their accord but on his accord. It is our duty to make sure that in that waiting period that we understand that it is a waiting period for our faith to be tested and to trust the promises that he has made towards us. The second one is that at the end of the day, God could have decided that he was not going to be merciful to Sarah. And this is what I mean by God does not judge us from a place of weakness. He could have decided that, okay, you decided to do your own thing. Ishmael was now here as a result. I told you that I was going to give you a child and you still decided to go against my word. But understanding that God is very merciful and doesn't judge us from a place of weakness. And as a result, he not only blessed Ishmael and blessed Hagar, but he also fulfilled his promises to Sarah and Abraham and allowed them to conceive and give birth to Isaac. And the last life lesson that I think we can all collectively take in from the life of Sarah is that nothing is too difficult for God. In Genesis 18:14, there is a verse that actually asks, is there anything that is too difficult for God to do? Even to the extent where he allowed an old couple to conceive a healthy baby boy, even in their old age. Also understanding that the promises that God has towards us will always come to fulfillment, and that God is not subject to physical laws like we are. He's a spirit that transcends over things. So when he says he's going to do something, best believe he's going to do it. Like in the life of Sarah, God has made promises to us, and it is all written in the word and still applies to us today. In Hebrews 13:8, it speaks about God being the same yesterday, today and forever. And in Titus chapter 1 verse 2 also speaks about God not lying. So we have the reassurance and the confidence that the same way God made promises to people in the Bible, the same way God made promises to Abraham, the same way God made promises to Sarah and saw it to fulfillment, he will also do the same to us as well. So guys, that is the end of this Woman Wednesdays video, in which we highlighted the life of Sarah, the life that she lived, and the characteristics that she obtained that we can also apply to our lives today. In all honesty, I used to just read past the story of Abraham and Sarah like, you know, Sarah was just 9 years old and she was Abraham's wife. That was literally it. But really digging into the Bible and really digging into her lifestyle and her characteristics really taught me a lot and taught me life lessons that I really hope I was able to share with you as well. That she was a woman of faith, even when situations were uncomfortable for her, or even when it would have been the easy way out for her to just go against God's word and do what she wanted to do. She came back to God and she stuck to that faith, and that faith not only allowed her and Abraham to conceive, but also allowed her to be the ancestor to Jesus Christ. And in all honesty, that is amazing in itself. So I really hope you guys were blessed by this Woman Wednesdays video. I'm going to be doing many more people. If you have any suggestions, please do let me know. But obviously we had to start off with Sarah because, you know, she's a bomb, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, she's a bomb. So yeah, we had to start off with Sarah, but we're doing many more people as the weeks and months and everything goes by. But yeah guys, I really hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I really hope you guys were blessed. Please do take care, stay blessed, and I shall see you in my next one. Bye. Why is it so hot? It looks like I'm dewy, but I'm actually sweating.